Good evening, Arizona, and thank you to the folks who are tuning in the great state 48 around the country. It is an absolute honor to be here today with the remarkable Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. And so we have an exciting evening for you today at our first ever Grassroots fundraiser. We're going live on social media, so drop your comments in the chat. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Drop your notes. We're going to have a dialogue. We're going to make it fun. We're going to make this exciting, and we're just going to have a good time. Are you ready to have a good time, Congresswoman?
I am pumped.
I love it. So here's what today is going to look like. I'm going to give you an update on the race. And then I'm going to turn it over to the remarkable Congresswoman Underwood. You give us a little bit of remarks, tell us a little bit about what's happening in Congress, Congresswoman. And then we're gonna have a dialogue to talk about, what's happening here, what it's like to run for office, so you can get an idea and insight to how things are. And if you have a question and we have time for it, drop it in and we'll try to get to it. So to kick things off, again, I want to say thank you to our viewers today. Thank you so much to folks who are tuning in. We deeply appreciate you. We're grateful for your time that you're dedicating to us. I'm Jevin Hodge, and I'm running for the United States Congress in Arizona's 1st Congressional District. This is among the most competitive seats in the country, and we have a great opportunity here on our hands to flip this seat here in Phoenix and Scottsdale to protect and preserve our Democratic majority in the United States House of Representatives. So here, a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an Arizona native, born and raised here. I'm the son of a single parent. My mother raised my brother and I by herself and taught us everything that we needed to know to be successful. Comms executive by day. I lead national growth and engagement for a social impact firm that gets to work on some of the nation's most pressing issues like COVID-19 vaccine availability, mitigating homelessness, and education issues. I heavily involved in our community, but the thing that I am most proud of is that I'm the proud president of Arizona's longest running Head Start, the Booker T. Washington Child Development Center. And I've taken my expertise and my knowledge, and I've decided to jump in for the United States Congress. My grandmother always says that a big part of leadership is stepping up to do the job when the job's not being done. And I can tell you, our current incumbent here in this district is not doing the job, and we need someone here that is going to stand up and fight for everyday Arizonans. So some quick updates on the race. One, redistricting was finalized about a month ago here in Arizona, and our district is now one of, like I said, the most competitive seats in the country. It's a district where President Biden would have won by 1.5 points or more last cycle, and currently held by a Republican, which only a handful of districts around the country are like that. Last quarter and last year, we outraised the incumbent by about $50,000, and that hasn't happened in a very, very long time. And we've picked up some remarkable support. And so I am so excited to talk about the campaign tonight. But without further ado, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend, Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. She's a registered nurse. She's a researcher and scientist, and she is a doggone good policymaker and someone who is fighting every single day for the American people. Congressman Lauren Underwood, thank you so much for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Well, Jevin, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be able to connect with so many of your supporters in Arizona and to just fire them up a little bit and make sure that they understand that it's go time. We are in the election year, my friends. And 2022, we are focused on one thing, and that one thing is winning. We have some work to do in Arizona 1, and to make sure that we send Jevin Hodge to Congress, to make sure that this community has great representation. And this is going to be a fight. I know something about flipping a seat. I was one of the majority makers, is what they called us in 2018. And when you set out to run for office and to flip a seat from Republican to Democrat and, defend a majority, or in our case, right, to propel House Democrats into a majority, we have to be tough. We have to be tenacious. We have to be persistent. We have to be disciplined. And when I think about all of those qualities, I am excited to be able to support Jevin in this race, be able to make a contribution ourselves to be able to support his campaign. And I would invite others to join us in investing in Jevin Hodge for Congress. But I also know that when we talk about holding the House, Arizona 1 is a must flip seat. And so if we are going to maintain this majority, we have to be able to win in these districts where President Biden would have prevailed. And so that overview that Jevin gave you about the victories that we're seeing in his district in redistricting, that's real. But we also know that Jevin has a primary election and has to get to November. And so, together as grassroots donors, we have the power not just to cast a vote, but to propel him to victory with our grassroots donations. So, that's what we're here to talk about tonight. I'm excited to be part of the conversation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We are grateful for your service, and we're grateful for everything that you're doing every day for the people of Illinois and for the people here in this country. So let's start off with something easy, something light. Just tell
Yep.
us, what is it like a day in the life of a member of Congress? Talk to us a little bit about what your experience is like.
The day of the life in DC starts early. First meeting at 7:30, maybe 8 a.m. Typically, that's a political meeting, maybe to talk about my campaign, to meet with some supporters in Washington. By 9 a.m., we have a caucus meeting. 10 a.m., hearings start. That committee work is so important. I serve on 2 committees. I serve on Appropriations and Veterans Affairs. In my first term, I served on 3 committees. So sometimes we'd be double or even triple booked with these hearings. And so when it's not COVID, you're running around hearing room to hearing room, making sure to get those questions in because the congressional oversight responsibility is so important. As we do our work to advocate for our constituents, we need to make sure these programs are working for the American people. And this is our time to do it. By noon, we have an opportunity to have another typically political discussion. In the afternoon, we have votes. And votes sometimes are very long, but that's when we also get to connect as members. We get to collaborate and work out deals on the floor. So when you're watching C-SPAN and it looks like we're all just gathered together, it's like, what are they doing? We are talking and we are taking care of business. The evening, that's politics. So there's fundraisers in the evening, there's meetings in the evening, and typically that work goes to 10 p.m. at night. So what happens, Jevin, is that we have not 1 but 2 full-time jobs as a member of Congress. It is fun. It is all consuming. It is exhausting. I sleep hard on that plane back to Illinois at the end of the week. And then it's a weekend full of activities around the district. It is go time, but it is a joy to be able to serve.
Wow. 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 There is never a dull moment, I can imagine.
No.
And I can at least tell you this. I think that I'm working to be prepared.
That's right.
Most people don't know, but I'm a full-time worker in addition to be a full-time campaigner as well. So I'm campaigning 50 to 60 hours a week. I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. I have real people, bills that I have to pay every day. I have, and so I get it. I wake up every morning at 6. I work my day job. I campaign in the middle of the day. I go back to work. I campaign in the evening. So I think I get an idea of how it works. I get an idea how it works. Those weekend naps, well, not naps, but those weekend rest hours are always the best. So, Congresswoman, tell us a little bit about when you think about Congress and you think about some of the legislation that is happening right now. Where do you see our greatest opportunities for this legislative session?
I think that we've seen opportunities come where we're working together across the aisle. And that's something that I think doesn't get a lot of attention. The majority of the bills that I've gotten signed into law, I've had 8 bills signed into law between both President Trump and President Biden. They've been bipartisan victories for the most part. And that's because we are able to pass them under a more expedient process. When we have this kind of universal agreement on bills to help our women veterans, when we have universal agreement on our bills to tackle the suicide crisis that we see among our veterans population, when we have this kind of agreement, we're able to move things through the often difficult and cumbersome legislative process in the House and in the Senate. And so I find that bipartisan work really does pay dividends in my ability to deliver for the people of the 14th District of Illinois and Americans across the country. And so we've seen some bipartisan victories most recently. I think about the America Competes Act, which is to shore up American domestic manufacturing so we can say our supply chain is made in America. And we can create jobs and put people to work, jobs that can't be outsourced. Guys, this is what we're talking about. The bipartisan infrastructure law, a huge victory for the American people when we can bring broadband internet and get rid of lead pipes and fix our roads and bridges, right? So I think that there's an opportunity to work together collaboratively. Mm-hmm. And that's the name of the game when you're talking about flipping seats from red to blue.
And when you think about, and I love that this is what you're highlighting, because these are real issues that are impacting everyday life. When you talk about infrastructure, you're talking about the pipes that are carrying your water to your house. You're talking about the roads that you drive on every day. We're all living in the digital age right now. So you're talking about the fiber optic lines that is going to make sure that we're connected across the country so we can expand the workforce, so that we can expand educational opportunities and move America forward. I love that. So with that being said, Congresswoman, do you have a particular initiative or item that you're most proud of during your tenure in Congress?
Well, I am most proud of my legislation called the Healthcare Affordability Act that was signed into law as part of the American Rescue Plan. So that was the COVID relief package that was signed into law about a year ago in March of 2021. And this legislation said that no American would pay more than 8.5% of their income for premiums on marketplace plans. So, Jevin, I know you're really busy working, campaigning, but hopefully you watch a little bit of television. And last fall, you might have seen some ads that said, visit healthcare.gov, where 4 out of 5 enrollees can find a plan for less than $10 a month. That was my bill. We did that. And as a result, over 15 million Americans signed up for coverage during open enrollment. And the American people are benefiting from these lower out-of-pocket costs. And so when we see this conversation about the price of food increasing, the price of gas increasing, right? And Americans really feeling the pain of rising costs across our economy, this is an area where we have delivered lower costs in a driving factor in bankruptcies, right? Healthcare costs being unaffordable. We have lowered these costs for the American people and, kept our promises. I'm really proud.
I love that. I mean, something that's super tangible. The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is healthcare costs. And when you think about making healthcare accessible, this is it in actuality. Yeah. So on behalf of the American people, you may not hear this enough, Congresswoman, but thank you. Thank you. Let's have some fun. Let's switch it up a little bit. What's your favorite pastime? In your few minutes a week that you get to have free time, what do you like to do, Congresswoman, to take a little bit of time for yourself?
Well, I like to bake. But then I have to give away my baked goods. So, I try to be generous with these things. I like to, I don't know, work.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, you're on the 14th.
Not all heroes wear capes. Not all heroes wear capes. So, so that you're out there doing everything that you need to do to make sure you're delivering for the people.
Oh, here we go. I joined a farm. There's this thing called community supported agriculture, CSAs. So I represent a rural district, rural and suburban. And there's a farm in my town where you can join and get veggies all season. So I go with my mom all summer. My mom lives in my district too. And we go and we pick tomatoes off the vine, sugar snap peas, and get like the farm fresh produce. I'm obsessed. It's my favorite part of the summer. So
I love that. And there's something about fresh fruits and fresh veggies that I just can't describe it. I mean, there is a refreshing element to it when you bite into, that first tomato. Yes. And it's so different. My family, my mother's father's side is from Iowa. And so we have some property out there where we grow a little bit of everything. And whenever I would visit as a kid, I would always love fresh corn, for example, right?
Nothing like it.
Exactly. Nothing like it. Okay, Congresswoman. So your race in 2018, you helped us earn the majority.
That's right.
In 2020, you helped us preserve the majority and sustain the gains that we made in 2018. Your district in 2018 and 2020 was among the most competitive in the country. 2022, you're among the most competitive in the country.
That's right.
Your district very closely resembles Arizona 1, both geographically, both demographically, and in competitiveness. So, what advice do you have for me as a candidate, for our supporters, for the activists on the ground here? What advice would you lend us as we work through a very, very, very competitive campaign season?
So listen, the number one thing we have to do is emotionally invest. We have to believe that we can win. Victory is within reach, but only if we work for it and we believe that it's possible. And so that's what makes this community so powerful. This grassroots community are the true believers. These are the folks that are investing their dollars, they are investing their time in an effort to flip this seat and save our democracy. That's what this is about. And so I would just encourage people to reach out to friends and family, introduce Jevin to your network, and make sure that they know about this important work, this important mission that we are on collectively. Because I think that as this movement grows, we will have the opportunity to expand and be victorious. That's really my biggest piece of advice. We can't be shy, we can't be quiet, we can't be timid. We have to be confident in this victory that lies ahead come November, and as we work together to get it done. And I know from my experience that sometimes that work of building that collective confidence is hard because we might have been disappointed in the past or not had, examples nearby of it being possible, but it doesn't mean it isn't. There's something really special happening in Arizona 1, and we're inviting everybody to be part of it. Join our team, jevin.us/grassroots.
That's right. That's right, Congresswoman. And I'll add to that. And I'll say every time that you think that you've measured your capacity to meet a challenge, you will look up and be reminded that that capacity may well be limitless. We're going to make history here, and we have a great opportunity to do so. Oh my gosh, this leaves me.
Oh, and can I just say, Jevin?
Yes.
Making history is really fun. And, when you make history, people love to be part of it and you get to do it together. And it's a shared victory. And so, savor it. I told Jevin in our initial conversations to save the little things. Do you remember that? I was
Yes.
Save the little mementos and, just have a little treasure box or whatever you want to call it, because it's so special what is happening. And really nice letters from elementary kids that you meet along the campaign trail or whatever. It's just incredible what he's doing.
Following that conversation, I have saved, oh, you can't see it here, cards that I have received.
Yes, exactly.
Books. A huge shout out to Gloria Felt. She's a past president of Planned Parenthood of America.
Hi, Gloria.
She wrote me a special note in her new book before it launched. And we sat down to talk about the campaign. And I just have, my office is overwhelmingly filling up with items that I've collected along the campaign trail. And in that conversation, Congresswoman, you reminded me. And so at my core, I love people. I love people. I love learning stories. I love trying new foods. I love giving handshakes, high fives. I love people. And you reminded me when we were talking in our conversations that we've had over the time here about how this is fun. This is fun. It is good. It's hard work. It's hard. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard work. And when we have the opportunity to learn the stories of the folks that live in our districts, I mean, it stays with me. And I have to say that it has just been the most rewarding experience so far. It has been the most gratifying experience so far. And it leaves me so excited for what is possible and what is to come here. And I owe you a huge thank you for that.
Well, it's my honor. And, sometimes if this, we're going so fast that we forget to take the time to savor. And when somebody leaves that encouraging word, you don't know when you're going to have to refer back to it because it's hard. And that's why this community is so powerful, because we lift each other up, we encourage each other, right? And so I found a lot of strength from the community here in Northern Illinois and the kind words and mementos of this journey. And I can't wait to see some of your treasures along the way.
Wow, that just makes me so excited. My heart is smiling. It just makes me so excited. Well, I know we're coming here for a close here shortly. So Congresswoman, leave us with your words of wisdom, your departing words. What do you want to leave us with as we close out this evening?
Okay, what I want to leave you with is this. We are in the middle of the first quarter of a very consequential election year. And I like to win. And I know Jevin likes to win. And I know this grassroots team likes to win. But when you like to win, you have to decide to win. Winning is a choice. And Jevin and I talked about the level of dedication and discipline that's required to run a tier 1 race. We know how hard it's going to be to flip this seat. And Jevin's already made the decision to win. But we need this team to do it too. And so I know you guys are all in. And I know that you're going to continue to rise to the challenge as this campaign grows and grows in terms of visibility and attention. But then with that comes some pressure. Okay. And so, when you're on the cusp of winning, it's like, oh my God. Right. And it's huge and you feel it. Stay close to one another, lift up one another, and continue to dig deep and make sure that we're showing up at every turn. Right now, the best thing that you can do to help this campaign be victorious is to make a contribution at the level that you can most afford. Because this campaign can only get to victory with your help. So we're going to invite you to visit jevin.us/grassroots to contribute, to help power this important campaign forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to the American people. And to all our viewers today, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, to hang out with us. Like the Congresswoman said, join our movement today at jevin.us/grassroots. And just remember, we are going to make history. So let's do it together. Our campaign has achieved some great accomplishments so far. We've outraised the incumbent. We have garnered some remarkable support from labor, the Teamsters and the carpenters. We're so excited to have them with us. Some remarkable leaders in the Congress, like Congresswoman Underwood and the Congressional Black Caucus, and Congresswoman Ruben Gallego, and so many others, and over 50 plus local leaders, school board members, community leaders, state lawmakers, statewide leaders. We're building a movement unlike any other, and I would be honored to have you a part of it. So I have one question, everyone, today. Are you going to be an observer or participant in history? Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you, and we hope that you have a beautiful, blessed evening. Have a great one.
Bye, everybody.